We are recording. I'm going to share my screen. Good evening, everybody. Happy Monday. I hope everybody had a wonderful Mother's Day, Mom, Dad Day, Sister Day, Aunt Day, everything to celebrate day. So again, thank you for being with us on session 3. Let me share my screen so everybody can go through the housekeeping items with me. All right. Here we go. So, Solid Foundations, our third session with Richard Lewine. Grow your sales skills, grow your business. Again, I am Daphne Sainville. I'm the Government and Economic Development Manager for the City of Fort Lauderdale. I have Crystal Permaman here with me as my Economic Development Team Representative. Susie Joseph could not be with us tonight, but she sends her hellos and her good evenings. If you have any general inquiries about the session, the recording, the presentation, or economic development as a whole for the city, don't hesitate to email us at economicdevelopment@fortlauderdale.gov. You'll be getting a follow-up email tomorrow. Couple of housekeeping items. On the bottom left, you'll see the circle around May 17th. That is our Biz Talks Business Roundtable. We'll have a panel, a moderator to just go over putting everything that you've learned these past 3 sessions together. And then we will have our second series, Build on Success, beginning in June. So be on the lookout for that. Remember, you have to attend all 4 sessions in order to receive your certificate. Try to keep your name and phone number consistent when you're logging in. If your email is not the same email that you used and you want to make sure you've been considered for a certificate, please just shoot me a message. You can do it in the Q&A, or you can just send us a message at economicdevelopment@fortlauderdale.gov. Remember, Q&A sessions, we'll be taking some questions in between the presentation. Do not use the chat box. Please use the Q&A box. Don't raise your hand. Just put all your questions in Q&A. We will try to get through as many as possible tonight. The recording will be made available to all participants give us at least 2 weeks after the webinar. We put them up on our website. You get an email with the email or not the email address, but the web address to where you can find it on our website. The presentation will be made available within the week to you. And please remember, the next session, May 17th, is graduation. Certificates will be mailed out to you. So please ensure your mailing address is correct when you signed up. If you don't want to use your personal mailing address, you want to use your business mailing address, please let us know.
We're still looking at the first slide.
Oh, are you? Oh man, I went through all of that.
While you figure that out, I just want to reiterate that point that Ms. Sainville just mentioned. I cannot stress it enough. Whatever is the name that you use at the time of registration, that is the name that's going to appear on your certificate. And I hope that everyone was thorough in filling out their address as far as apartment, unit number, because that's where it's going to be sent.
Okay, which slide are you seeing now?
Please take the survey.
Okay, so what I forgot to say the last 2 sessions, 3rd time's the charm, please take the survey that's sent to you when it is sent to you. If you have not received it, let us know. And last slide, I want to introduce our speaker, Richard Lewine. He's an organizational leader and SCORE mentor with over 35 years of experience working with leaders of small and mid-sized organizations, for-profit and nonprofits, helping them clarify their vision, formulate strategy, and create personal and organizational goal systems. He's managed diverse operations and sales for his own company and grew it to $6 million enterprise with multiple sales and administrative people. He's a South Florida leadership management goal-setting sales guy, sold over more than $60 million worth of products and services in his career. Richard is also a certified SCORE mentor. So I wanted to say thank you to Richard. for joining us this evening, and I will pass it on to him.
Thank you. Let me, I did unmute. That's good. That's one of the standing jokes. You're on mute. You're on mute. That's right. I can't hear you. I will share my screen after I get this. I share it first. Come over here and share. Here we go. Let's make this a slideshow. If I can do that. Stop sharing for a minute to do that. Oh, no, I don't. Just come over here. Click. Okay. I hope everybody can hear me. Send something in the Q&A or to one of these wonderful ladies who have chosen to mentor me tonight through this process. Make sure that I'm coming through okay. Yes. Somebody nod.
Yep, we can hear you loud and clear.
Thank you. One of the greatest things about business is that you can change your trajectory by growing your sales skills. That will help you grow your business, whether it's you personally or someone that is with you, whether they're a 1099, a W-2, whether they're an employee or a contract, whether it's a side gig or a side hustle, or it's the main attraction. Nothing happens till someone sells something. And I've been doing it for a long time. I founded my own company, founded it in Philadelphia, moved it to Greenwich, Connecticut, and 6 years ago moved it to South Florida. It's about 40 years. I'm at least 15 years old now. And I focus on leadership, management, goal setting, small to mid-sized business. And right now my focus is Palm Beach to Miami. So Broward is right here. It's right in the middle. I love it. And I'm in Pompano Beach and I love Florida. I want to help as many small business people as I can. It's my purpose. Small business is the backbone of our economy. And I grew up in a small business. I want to make sure that we keep doing that. Let's talk about sales. I've got COVID up here. Well, some of you may feel that it's over. I don't believe that it is. The numbers around the world are not good. We're doing fairly well here, but if we stop being careful, we're going to be in trouble. And as you approach people to buy your product or service, you need to be sensitive to who they are. Do they believe it's over? And what are they looking for from you? A short-term, immediate return on whatever it is you're offering? Or are they thinking about the future as we get less and less COVID-oriented, but rather more future-oriented or the new economy-oriented? And there's all kinds of terms that are applied to it. Regardless, there's 3 primary key result areas for someone who's in sales. You've got to find your prospective customer or client. You have to have a conversation with that prospective customer or client. And then you have to convert that conversation into a sale. That's what sales is about. It is a conversation. You're making a new friend is one of the adages that has come along over the years. But the reality is, if you're in business, you need to make a profit. The way you make a profit is to bring in top line revenue. And the way you do that is by making sales. That's your number one job. Here is the tough part. If you get 100 leads and a lead is just a name, it has almost no value except it gives you something to hang your hat on so you can do something for this day or the day after. You then have to qualify the lead, and out of 100, maybe 20 can use what you have, whether it's a service or a product. That is, technically they can use it. However, only 5 of that 20 want it now or want to order it now or ask you for it now in the quantity or quality that you have to offer at the price that you're offering it. And out of that 5, you will make 1 sale. 100 to 20 to 5 to 1. This is why salespeople are among the highest paid professionals in our country. It is a bear. And we're talking B2B sales, business to business sales here, not retail. We're not talking about having a storefront or bricks and mortar and you standing behind a counter and someone coming in. There's nothing wrong with that, but it's a very different business than business to business sales. Somehow, you have to get the attention of these prospective clients or customers. Then you have to establish that they want or need what you have, because it has to satisfy a need. It has to relieve pain of some kind. And what they're looking for is a problem solver, not a product pusher. Therefore, and I'm sure you've heard this other places, you've got to develop relationships and people have to trust you. So it's a question of time, effort, and commitment to make all this stuff work. You need to prepare and prepare carefully. You need to act because it isn't going to happen by itself. You have to evaluate the result of your act or action, and then you have to adjust accordingly. Because if you have 100 and you're qualifying only 10 and only getting 1 or 2 prospects who really have the will, the belief, the money to take care of it, you're not going to get any sales potential. So you have to adjust what you're doing to compensate for that. Here's how the system works. There's a plethora of sources for leads. And I'm going to reiterate, the lead is nothing but a name. There is nothing behind it except potentially if you sell, let's see, porcelain to cover cast iron bathtubs. I'm taking this way in left field. All you know about the person who makes these cast iron tubs is that they do use it, and that's all you know. Not if they're going to stay in business, not if they care about it, not if they're looking for a new supplier. You don't know anything. So the leads get pushed into a funnel. They come from websites, or someone told you about it, or you got it off of all of these other things. I'm not going to read the screen to you. You can see this. There's all kinds of sources. This is where you can differentiate yourself from other salespeople by taking the time to prioritize these leads so that they meet your requirements. Yes, you're trying to satisfy the client, but if they don't meet your requirements, then you can't deliver what they want. Therefore, you and your people need to be the first focus. Is this truly a prospect or just a suspect? How do I qualify them? Then how am I going to approach them? And then how do I build an agreement with them where they win and I win? That's the only way to generate sales to drop out the bottom of the funnel. You're putting 100 in the top. You're going through these processes represented by these colored rings, doesn't matter what color they are, and out of the bottom, 1 sale will drop. I usually use a pipeline, a pipe where you shove grease in one end and you have to keep shoving grease in to come out the other end, drip, drip, drip. That's what sales is about in the B2B world. If it weren't, there wouldn't be very many salespeople because they'd all retire in a week or a month or a year. Doesn't work that way. Here's the deal. The word problem here is a misnomer, actually. It's a sales challenge. If you've just gone into business, you may have on the left here, low sales. Well, that would make sense if you just went into business. No one knows about you. You haven't even developed your products or pricing or catalog or whatever it is you're going to use yet, perhaps. Or you just started and you're getting your feet wet. And maybe someone put you in business and they said, I need to get 15 of these porcelain covered bathtubs. So you went into that business. That's a tough one to deal with. I'm going to use something else later. By the way, don't take yourself too seriously. The world doesn't need that. They want to buy from people who understand that there isn't any perfection. Laugh at yourself. Makes life a lot easier and you'll be a lot more productive. Reduces stress. So whether you've just started or you've been in business a little while, if you're not happy with the amount of sales, there's only one of two things going on. You're not seeing enough people and making enough presentations and asking for the business, or you're not doing a good enough job in developing rapport, gathering trust, and understanding what the need of the prospect is, so you're not able to close the sale or ask for the business. So the only two things can be happening if you're not happy with the sales. Now, this fishbone diagram will lead you through these two paths. But before you even, and by the way, when you get your recording, you can print this out. It's very helpful. And if you have salespeople, let all of them deal with this, because no matter how many sales they're making, they can do better. There may well be something else working. On the right, low belief. And the question to be answered is, if there is low belief, if you're aware of it, is it low belief in the product or service, or is it low belief in yourself? What I've discovered over the 800 years that I've been working is that our attitudes about ourselves, what we think about ourselves, our self-image, our self-esteem, is really the driver of our success. So you need to investigate and discover what's going on with you. If you're okay in your belief in yourself, your product, and your service, then you need to work through one or both of these fish bones. How come there's too few presentations, or you're not making appointments? Or when you do make a call, do you not get an appointment? We'll talk about these as we get into it, giving you an overview here. Maybe you have bad work habits, and maybe that low belief came in. There's all kinds of possibilities on that scale. And then why aren't you getting the business? Did you not do a good job of qualifying? So are they lousy prospects? Or haven't you figured out how to make the sales process using the techniques that work best for you and deliver your message? You'll need to go through this and take your time and go through it more than once, and painfully honest with yourself. If you're the salesperson and you want this to be better, you need to face whatever it is that's going on and preventing you from getting what you want. If you believe in the river in Nile, that's denial, then you're going to be in trouble for a long time. Face the realities. That's all I can tell you about this one until you get into it. This is part of the way you make sure that you're doing what it takes to get the appointments. Now remember, we're talking business to business sales here. This is not a retail store. So the person or people that you're trying to see are managing their organizations and running their businesses. They work by appointment. The days of drop-ins being successful have diminished significantly. There was a time when you could drop in to an organization and it's okay, the decision maker might make time to see you. It's very rare that that would happen today. So you need a system that keeps you on track. And if you take a look at the top part of this page, you'll see that there are 6 work days here, Monday through Saturday. That's also a decision. How committed are you to achieving the goals that you say you want to achieve? In today's business climate, Saturday is a work day. Actually, in my life, I came out of the apparel industry originally. Saturday was a work day all the time. And it makes a difference. And much of the world today is working 7 days, 6 days. We're trying to change what's been going on for a year and a half. And that doesn't happen by itself. So regardless, you need to attempt to get an appointment, to get in front of somebody so you can share what you do, asking them what they're looking for, make sure that's a match, and then ask them to sign hard, sign here, press hard, the third copy's theirs. That's the goal. That's what selling is about. Sign here, press hard, third copy's yours. Doesn't happen physically today, happens online. purchase orders, all kinds of other stuff. That's okay. You still need to get an appointment to get in front of someone. And then we're going to talk about what happens when you're in front of someone shortly. Assuming you spoke to the person that you wanted and you got the appointment, you'd make a mark in here. How many presentations did you give on Monday? How many sales did you make? And how many new leads? One of the traps that business-to-business people, salespeople fall into is they have a lead book, if you will. Maybe there's 200 or 300 names. In about a month and a half, they're done. They have made those calls. They have gotten the appointments that they're going to get. They've made the presentations and they've made the sales or not. Now what? You need to get new leads all the time, however you get them. If someone nominates a friend to get involved with you, great. If someone calls you, great. If you find somebody on the web, great. You need to get in front of somebody so you can tell your story after you've gotten their story and make sure it works. Then you get every day. Many years ago, one of my apparel clients, they were customers, not clients, said, selling is like shaving. If you don't do it every day, you're a bum. If there are certain faces when you haven't shaved, you don't look good. And they were vagrants or bums. Selling has to happen every day in one form or another. Otherwise, you won't get where you want to go. It's really a simple equation. Make the effort, get the result. Don't make the effort, no result. Will not happen by itself. So that's one way of tracking. And then what you do up here will determine what happens down here, which is the money. I'm not going to spend time on that here. You'll have plenty of time when you get your copy of this. But I will tell you that this will be all zeros at the bottom if you don't have numbers up here. And actually, they're just hash marks. 1, 2, 3, 4, line through it for 5 attempts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, line, 1, 2, 3. You have to keep on doing it. No stopping. This may sound ridiculous, boring, redundant, crazy. What is he, talking through his hat? No. I'm telling you that it doesn't work if you don't keep at it. That's why you're here. So pay attention to what you're doing here. I have a client I started with about 9 months ago. Yeah, 9 months ago. She left a paid employee position with one of the cities around here. That's where I met her when I had that city as a client. She then went out on her own, took a chance right before COVID. And I started with her with this form, nothing else. And she has been doing this religiously. She sends it to me. I am her mentor, her accountability counselor, whatever she likes to call me at any given time, depending on how I've treated her that day. Every week. And if you don't do anything, you have to put a 0 in here. No one wants to put zeros in. She has built a business of 6 figures in a year, because she did the work. It's an amazing process.
Richard?
Yes.
We have two questions, so I didn't know if you wanted to take a small pause to answer them.
Sure.
Awesome. So the first one from Zachary is, can you please elaborate on low belief? What is a low belief? And that's the two. What is a low belief, and can you elaborate?
Low belief can be one of two things, as I briefly mentioned. It may be that you're in a position, maybe you bought a franchise. I don't know. Everybody here is different. Or you just decided to go into business and you're discovering that your belief based on your experience to this point in time is fragile, and you're not sure you believe in the value of what you have as a product or service. And that will get in the way of you doing what you need to do to get in front of somebody to tell your story because you don't believe it to begin with. That's one kind of belief. The second kind of belief is believing in your personal leadership capability to learn how to become an effective B2B salesperson, make the calls, get the appointments, explain your product or service, ask the right questions, because telling ain't selling, asking is. That's how you sell. You ask questions, find out where the prospect is. You may not believe that you're strong enough. Your self-confidence may be less than it needs to be to do that consistently and effectively, but you have to be willing to face that. So it may be you don't know that that's what's going on. Therefore, low belief doesn't register with you. I hope that answers the question.
And
Moving
then,
along.
wait, we have one more.
Oh, I thought that was both. I'm sorry.
No, and then the last one is, where can you get the forms to keep track of your sales activity?
You will have them when you get this recording, and the PDF that goes with it. Just print them out and you shall have them. They'll be right in there. If you send Daphne a request directly, I can get them to her and she can send you a PDF of what I've shown you. I hope that answers it.
Perfect.
Okay. Here's how you begin to prioritize the leads that you get. Remember, they don't know you. However, whatever kind of lead it is, you don't know them and they don't know you, generally speaking. So the least effective lead is one where you have no connection, no one referred them to you. You don't really know anything about them. They don't know anything about you, and you're just calling cold. It's called a cold call to find who the person is to talk to get an appointment, to tell your story. That's a cold call. You can have a well-qualified prospect where they have been either referred to you or you know about them and you ask them for an appointment and they gave you one, and they're a good prospect, because if they gave you an appointment, the chances are they have some interest in what you're offering. The self-qualified prospect calls you or sends you an email or fills out a form on your website based on the information that they see without you doing any outbound marketing, social media, phone calling effort. So out of the three, obviously, the best prospect is the self-qualified who comes to you. Next is the well-qualified prospect where you've done your homework, spent the time and effort to do the research. Yes, it's an industry that I can work in. Yes, they use the product or service that I have. Yes, I know that they pay the prices in the range that I am in. Yes, I can deliver to them. You have all these yeses. Or you think maybe it's okay and you're going to call because why not? Nothing wrong with that. My best client in Philadelphia came from, there were no, this goes way back in the 80s, there was no social media. A letter, snail mail, with a coupon at the bottom that they had to fill out, put in an envelope, put a stamp on it, and put it in the mail. My best client in Philadelphia. So you never know where it's going to come from. So, but you have to do the work and you have to decide how you want to spend your time. So, cold call. This is the story. It's inherently lower priority because you have the least chance of success. They're going to just think, you're going to call, you'll get to a gatekeeper. I want to speak to Mrs. Decision Maker, and the gatekeeper is going to say, who's calling and can I tell them what it's about? Well, okay, you need to have a response to that, but you've already been, you're in the midst of being vetted. Is this a call I want to put through? That's the gatekeeper thinking. Well, he or she says, I'm not sure. I know that the decision maker doesn't like this kind of so you may or may not get through. So it's got to be worth it. Where is it? Is it the kind of place, organization or business that you need to see personally? Do they actually meet the profile of a prospect in your industry. And there's all kinds of industry information out there. If you do actually get an appointment or you get to talk to the person right here, make sure you, if you're going to do it online, you have to ask permission. Even in the midst of COVID, there were many people who would not do anything using Zoom or any of the others, Hangouts, GoToMeeting, there's dozens of these. And you had to go there personally. If you weren't ready, you didn't have a chance. You had to go there personally. So you have to make sure they're okay. Here's where your belief in yourself, positive, self-assured, or don't make the call, because your attitude about yourself and everything else walks 10 feet in front of you, and it comes through on the phone. You may or may not be familiar with an elevator pitch. It means, what can you say in 30 seconds that will tell whomever you're speaking to what you do, why you do it, and why they should listen to you? So you need to get them to talk, but you just give a quick introduction about who you are, and then a question for them. How do you find business in your industry right now? I've heard it's doing okay. Is that true? There's a question that's going to get an answer of some kind. If you don't get any kind of answer, if you get a negative response, if you feel like this person would get you off the phone, just get rid of the call. There's many more people to call, because all you'll do is aggravate them if you stay on and keep them busy and they don't want to be talking to you. Empathy. Think about who you're talking to and what's going on in their organization at that time. And some people like to talk early in the morning, some at lunchtime, some in the evening, some on the weekends. All of this counts. And in your first year of selling, the chances are you're not going to experience all of this. You just have to keep at it. That's just how it is. It's not simple. It's not easy. You have to be willing to pay the price. So the next level is the well-qualified. This person does want or need what you believe you can deliver to them, and you believe you're the best. They have the money. They have a budget. This is critical. And this is the kind of information you find out maybe on your first call with them, maybe 5 calls, because the average number of touches or contacts to get an appointment in B2B sales is 5. I'm just going to let that sit there for a minute. Just because you get rejected the first time doesn't mean you shouldn't call back. Not the next day. I hope you understand that. But by the time you are feeling okay, because you'll do more research, you'll begin to hear information about this organization where you couldn't get through, and it may change your mind. You may not even want to call them again. Well-qualified prospect is one to whom you've already submitted a quote or a proposal of some kind, or you know who they are, or they've already told you that they need this in a hurry. 30 days, you'll have a decision. By the way, if they tell you that, try not to believe it, because that's very unusual. Now, not that it doesn't happen, but if you're just getting into business and people don't know you and you don't have a reputation, there's nothing going on about you in the marketplace, the chances are slimmer, not 0, but are slimmer that you will have a decision in 30 days. Because there's a reasonable chance, if they like what you have in the way of a product or service, they're going to do their own research on you or your organization. So don't get caught up and get too many expectations going. Now, the self-qualifying prospect. This is the one that responded to your ad or your promotion. They saw you at a seminar or a webinar like this. They responded to an email you sent out in your social media, your website. They saw you at a trade show, which trade shows, by the way, are coming back. And that's a B2B thing, trade shows. They are very hard work, whether it's lasting for 5 hours, as what I have seen lately, or 5 days, which I used to do. You can do a lot of business at a trade show. Or whether you get them through networking or word of mouth referrals. And by the way, the word referral is beginning to, I wouldn't say lose favor, but it's beginning to be replaced by the feeling of nomination. What do I mean by that? For years, you would ask an existing client or a center of influence. The center of influence is someone who may never buy from you, but keeps recommending you to someone else. You ask these people for a referral. Who can you refer me to who may be able to use what I have? That is being replaced by who would you nominate to take advantage of the products or services that I have? And if you allow that to play in your head for a while, you will find that the language is really different and does a different thing in the picture. Nomination is a very positive, forward-looking, forward-thinking, supportive kind of word, compared to referral is, yeah, I sold you this, and who else do you think might want it? It doesn't carry the same weight. Think about that. I'm not telling you to do it. I'm letting you know what's happening in the marketplace. I have found using nomination as my request has paid dividends.
Richard,
So let's come back to the phone call.
Richard,
Yes.
before the phone call, I think there's a question that's pretty relevant.
Good.
What can you do if the key person or business is not local, so you can schedule an in-person appointment? And how do you build a relationship that's not face-to-face without being too pushy, overbearing, or aggravating?
Pushy, overbearing, or aggravating. Yes, that's what they think about it. It's a question of persistence and finesse and confidence. Here's the belief. If you've identified a particular prospect that's in Topeka, Kansas, and you're in Florida, and you're not going to get on a plane for a first visit unless they've come to you, I would hope. And if they've come to you, then it's okay to get on a plane. You got a decent chance. But let's assume not. The telephone, email, snail mail, fax, Zoom, websites, all are tools that can be used to build your rapport, your connection, your relationship to the point where the prospect says, you know what, I really think that you can help us. What, can you come out here next week, next month, whatever it is? And then you need to be at a place where you say, I certainly can. However, I'd like to qualify the percentage chance of us doing business based on what you know so far about my organization. Can you help me with that? You need to get some support from the prospect before you do that, unless you're independently wealthy and have nothing else to do. But if you're starting out, there are acres of diamonds in your own backyard. Believe me, that is true. Do you know that there are 20,000 manufacturers in the state of Florida? 20,000. That's manufacturers. So there's probably 50,000 retailers. And, you know, if you jewelers, I mean, just go through the list and get directories for cities, chambers of commerce. There, you'll see that you don't have to go anywhere. It's right here. Don't have to go anywhere. There can be a time when you will, and when you want to, and it'll be appropriate. Don't rush it. However, the way to do it is the way we just discussed. You need to have conversations, and there need to be topics and agendas for the conversation, not just easy small talk. That's old after 3.5 minutes. You need to be talking their language about something, or they need to be talking to you. You need to be asking questions and listening carefully and making notes. Don't record. Do not record the conversation, because if you try to, you need to tell them. If you record them, it will be different. Everything in life changes when there's an observation made by either a piece of equipment or a person. The continuing event changes. So my recommendation is don't try and record it, even if you're on Zoom. If you know them, that's fine. After the second or third call, Fred, would you mind if I recorded this so we both have the foundation of what we've been discussing? Sure. Once you've established some credibility, then you can ask for that privilege, because that's what it is. Now, the introductory call is the first in that process. So there's nothing to do before this, except the research of the organization and your best estimate of, are they someone you want to pursue? So here are the questions. Do you have something that your stuff fits? What kind of information can you get? What kind of a contact is it? Who is it? What level in the organization are they? Are they the actual decision maker? Is there anyone else who should be in the meeting when you finally have one where you can display your wares, as it were? There's all kinds of questions. And the only thing in this first call, we're only talking about the introductory call. The only thing you're trying to sell is an appointment. This is a brief call. It's a discovery call. You're trying to discover their pain point, their buying motive, and what you can do to help them. And what's the best way to find out what's going on with them? Yes, ask questions. You need to be careful. Start with close end, yes or no, and then move to open end. Can you explain what's been happening in your industry? How has that affected your customers? Why does this go on? It's whys. The questions are why and how and where, and not yes or no after the first few. They'll get comfortable enough if you do it well. And it takes time. Don't expect to make $1 million in the first week. It's not going to happen. But maybe it will. I don't know. You might get lucky. We'll see. So you have to figure out what works. And this is experimentation. Talk to colleagues. Talk to salespeople that you know. Talk to people in the industries that you're trying to sell to. I am focused in 3 industries right now. They're not all industries this year. Family offices and high net worth individuals, public service leadership, and small to medium-sized businesses, and in the 3-county area. That's it. I know what I'm doing. I have it written down. I have my goals, and I'm executing. You just have to be willing to stick to it, and don't worry about it if it doesn't work out right the first time. Go back the second time. This is not a science, it's an art. And artists take a long time to develop their style and effectiveness and make saleable art, whether it's dance, fine art, music, doesn't matter. It doesn't happen fast. So here we are. You got an appointment. And this applies whether you're on Zoom or in person, it doesn't matter. Or go to meeting or 8x8 or any Google, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. There is a process. I'll break this down in a minute, but I want you to see the overall. It's 5 phases. Developing rapport, which is trust, belief, confidence, credibility. They have to believe in you. You have to believe that they believe you and are serious in their needs. You have to figure out what it is they really want. You have to go back and plan what you're going to present. Remember, B2B, After you've made 5 attempts to get the call, it's going to probably take 3 to 5 visits of some kind to get the sale or to get rejected. Don't know yet. Make your presentation and get the decision. Sometimes 1 and 2 work together in the same visit. Sometimes, if you're really experienced and you know what's going on and did your homework and you've developed real rapport, you can move right into your presentation. So then 3 falls right in there. The chances of getting the decision in a big sale, remember, we're not talking about a tennis racket. We're talking about installing tennis courts outside the office building for Office Depot, and it's $25,000. That decision doesn't get made in 5 minutes because there's another dozen people who build tennis courts. Remember that they're out there. Don't let them bother you. Just know that they're there. Keep on your toes. So you've got these 5 phases. There are goals for each of them right here. And there are absolutely clear signs of when you need to stop, be cautious, or keep moving. So let's look a little closer. Goal 1, establish that credibility and belief in you. What does that say to you about belief in you? You have to believe first. That's what it says. You have to believe in what you're doing. You have to believe in your ability, capability to deliver what you're selling. You have to believe your product or service will bring smiles of joy and dollar income to your client, regardless of what it does for you. Really important, belief, credibility. You have to sincerely be interested in your prospect. It's empathy. Everybody is talking about this stuff today because it's so important in working with other human beings. We need to be able to empathize with them, believe in them, help them, and support them, and then they will do the same for us. So once you establish that rapport, you can begin to figure out what it is they want by asking more pointed questions that are beginning to dig into how come this person gave you the appointment. That is always my first question. If I don't know the answer, when I get to the client, the prospect, I say, how come you gave me an appointment? How come? They have to explain it. Now, generally, they have a reason, and then that begins our discussion. So you have to figure out what they want. What do you have that will meet that need? Prepare the presentation you're going to make. Present your solution. Remember, you're going to be overcoming a problem for them. You're not going to be selling a product. They don't care about your product. They want resolution of an issue. They want a problem solved. Otherwise, you wouldn't be there. Maybe their current supplier tripled the price. I don't know. Maybe they went out of business. Maybe it's a new decision maker in your prospect organization and they don't like the current supplier. Wow, that's a whole other thing. It's pure emotion. Be prepared that it isn't the economics, but rather the emotions. I hope you're getting the point to this point that sales is not a cut and dry step 1, 2, 3, bang. You have to do a lot of stuff to make it work. And then after you've presented your solution, all in the way it's supposed to happen, you ask for the order, you get it signed, thank you, make the financial arrangements and get out. So here we jump right to the 3rd step, which is planning your presentation, making the presentation. You know, if you're getting the sense that you're not going to meet their needs, it's going to be a waste of their time in their view and frustrating for you if it is not making sense for them and they are not responding. So as you're planning this thing, remember, you're planning your presentation based on what you got in steps 1 and 2. That's developing rapport and doing a fact find. Finding out what they're telling you they need. It may not even be true, but it's more like what they want as opposed to what they may need. So what you need to do, I'm going to go back one. Right here, programming call. What is a programming call? After you've left, and by the way, you didn't leave without another appointment, I hope. That's what you need to be sure you have. If you're not at a place where this is a fairly quick one, and they won't be, make sure you get an appointment to come back. If you don't get it before you leave, there's a terrific chance you will never get it. Because when you leave, you're out of their mind. Well, wait a minute, they're out of their mind, but you are not in their thoughts. They're on to their day or week or month, whatever they're dealing with. So get the appointment before you leave. Planning your presentation, call the organization, ask for the decision maker, and what might you be asking the decision maker at this point? You just left them 4 days ago. Your appointment's in another week. You're planning your presentation. You have some fundamental information, and you're calling and asking for the decision maker, and you get the decision maker. What are you going to ask them? They're going to say to you, what are they going to ask you? What are you calling about? You better have an answer. And the answer needs to be something that helps you clarify or expand what they told you they wanted so that you can bring them something that satisfies their need. Not easy. Takes time. You'll get it. But that's why you're calling. Now, suppose the decision maker isn't there that you worked with. That's an opportunity to do even better research. Because what you can do is ask the gatekeeper, who else uses this product or service that I'm trying to sell? You remember who I am, right? And you'll remind the gatekeeper who you are. Do you hear all the nuances going on in this process? This is why salespeople make a lot of money. This is hard work. It takes time. So yes, well, the engineering department or R&D uses it. Oh, good. Is the head of R&D available? Well, let me see. Yes. Okay. Yes. When you get that person, the first thing you'll find out is that this person you spoke to never told R&D that they were talking to you about a new product or service that R&D is going to use. Happens all the time. And the person's going, what are you talking about? It's okay. Well, here's the deal. And tell me about how you use what I offer. You'll get information you never would have gotten otherwise. That will help you make a presentation that cuts to the chase. So that's step 3. I'm going to go forward again. So you've done that. Now you're at step 4 where you're actually making the presentation. But based on your sensitivity, the prospect is giving you signals that is saying, I don't know how this is going to help me. So what happened? You better ask yourself what happened. I don't know what happened with them. Do you know what happened with you? Maybe you didn't put it together right. Maybe the language is wrong. Hard to tell, but you'll know if you're attuned. Their attitude also walks 10 feet in front of them, whether or not you are touching their hot buttons. If they're not, you're going to have to stop and ask some questions to find out what's going on. If they're not convinced, which is different than nothing's going on that you like, you're going to answer their questions because they're going to share their concerns, their uncertainty by asking you, well, can you get this in green instead of red? Or can you speed up the delivery, or can I spread it out over 6 months instead of all at once? Assure them, if it's true, that you can take care of them. And if you can, then you can go forward and ask for the order, not necessarily at this moment, but you've been given permission, if everything has gone well, that you can do that in the 5th phase, which may happen immediately after the 4th, or it can also be a week away, or 2 weeks, or 3 weeks, or a month and a half. And if it's at that place where you felt that it was time and it was okay to ask for the order, then you have to ask for it. And if they're hanging back, stalling, how come? Did you suddenly discover that someone else should have been in all the meetings before? And they're now in this meeting and they have no idea what's going on? Happens. And that means a critical question wasn't asked way back at the beginning. And what happened was you ran a red light, actually, way back here. This is where, should anyone else be in this meeting with us, needs to be asked. You have to figure out how to ask it. You don't ask it first thing. You could ask it in the call where you're getting the appointment. Decision maker, are there other people who need to be in the meeting that we could make sure they are available on this day? That's a perfectly legitimate question. What you'll discover is this really the decision maker, or is this someone who would like to be the decision maker? And you'll be able to tell by the way they answer that question. Lots of stuff goes on here in this process.
Hey,
So
Richard, we have 2 more questions.
Okay, good.
First
They're listening.
From Carol is, how important is it to use an unusual approach or some aspect of a pitch that stands out compared to others in the same business?
Stand out is good. Unusual, you need to know who your prospect is. They may be conforming, conservative people, and they don't want anything unusual. The standout could be in the graphics you may use if it happens to be online, or in a folder of a portfolio that you bring with you if it's in person, or in a flip chart, which I use when I do some of mine in person. The way you deliver yourself, the way your demeanor is, all of those things can be unusual, and you have to be careful not to offend. So outstanding, yes. It's you that needs to be outstanding. So you need to be careful. Yes, second one.
Second question is, well, it's actually 2 in 1, is have you ever mentored a small live entertainment company that specializes in concerts, food and wine festivals, conferences, VIP parties, or branding experiences? And if not, could you recommend someone from SCORE that does mentor in that specific space?
No, I have not personally. I have been involved when I was a member of the Pompano Chamber with that. And here's the reality. That's a tough business. Events, no matter what kind of events they are, first of all, you've suffered for a year where they almost didn't exist. And it's really always all about the people. I can find out some names find out if in the Broward chapter there are some people who are in the entertainment field. Happy to do that. And I'll pass it along. Happy to find that out for you. But it's about people, so it almost doesn't matter. A good mentor, will help you figure out what you need to do. But there are nuances to every industry. And since yours is a very personal industry, it may be more appropriate that that a specialist is who you have at least to get started. So we'll see what we can do.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And moving right along, get out after you get the order. Don't give them a chance for you to buy it back. Because if you hang around and try and be the nice guy, you're going to get into trouble. They don't want a nice guy. They just committed to $26,000 and they want you gone. You need to be gone because every time they look at you, they'll see $26,000. I picked a number. Could be 260,000 or 2,600,000, or it could be 2,600. I don't know, but they see your face at that point, they see a number. So get out, say thank you. Here's where you are. You're at the place where, again, telling ain't selling, asking is, and you could run into objections at that point where you have asked for the business. Sign here, press hard, third copy is yours. Whoa, they say, hold on, not so fast. Oh, really? What's going on? Well, here's the place where they may have introduced 3, 4 other people into this equation, and they don't know anything about what's been going on. And you're going to have to make a decision about how to handle that. Do you educate them right now, sitting here? Do you ask for another appointment? Do you throw it back to them? What happens? You have to figure out how to deal with that. They may say, I need to think about it. That's a stall. What are they going to think about? They may throw things out like, well, the budget is really overdrawn right now. We're going to have to wait till the next budget round, which is 3 years away. Oh, really? Something's going on because you dragged me all the way through this process and brought me to this place, and now you're telling me it's 3 years away? Something else is going on. You have to determine what the objection really is. Why are they saying, hold on? And this can happen in the 4th or 5th stage, actually, where you're making the presentation, and during the presentation, you're doing trial closes, asking questions that are qualifying their continued commitment to buy. And if you're getting pushback, you need to find out what is the underlying cause of the pushback, and it could be lots of things. So it could be the price is too high. They have questions about the capability of your organization delivering as promised or as you're trying to promise. This may not be, you remember I mentioned this, may not be the real decision maker. It could be timing. It could be there's a competitor in there. They don't know what you mean because your presentation didn't really cut the mustard. I don't know if you're old enough to remember that phrase, cut the mustard. Anyhow, you need to find out what is really going on. Why are they stopping? Which means you have to be asking questions. Oh, I hear what you're saying about you need to push it off to the next budget round. Is that because you don't have the cash available in your current cash flow? Or is it because you feel the price is too high the way it's structured? And they need to give you an answer. If it isn't price, if they say, well, you know, we don't really know you well enough. If they say something like that, you ran a red light at step 2. You did not convince them. Step 3, you didn't build a good presentation. Step 4, you didn't present all of the benefits of working with you, didn't give them all the information they needed. So this is on you that they are now stalling and objecting to giving you a purchase order, a deposit check, something. Maybe it's competition that remember the guy said it's a new decision maker and the competitor is still there. And now they want, this person wants to change. Something else is going on. Or you didn't do a good job. It's all on you to find out. You have total responsibility here, despite the fact that it's a conversation and it takes 2 parties to have a conversation. You need to assume the responsibility for making this work and help the client to help the prospect to help you by giving them the information they need to make you the hero. Then they'll buy. So you need to know what your goals are, first of all, and they vary from at each stage. The first one is establish credibility. The second one is to find out what they really want. The third one is to really make a presentation that answers all their questions and solves their problem. Present the value that the client will gain. Create the win-win situation and make sure that you can walk away feeling good, even if they say no, because maybe they say no for just right now and you can get another appointment. Every time you're in an appointment prior to the one where you get the sale, you need to make another appointment and not let them off the hook. If they won't give you another appointment, they do not believe in you. You have not established credibility or value, because if they're not willing to see you again, they don't feel you can deliver anything. I wouldn't give you another appointment if I don't think you can deliver. Why bother? Just eating my time. That's why that programming call, maybe 2 programming calls, will help you be sure that when you get in there again with the right decision maker, you are tapping all the right buttons for them. So positive walk away is you feel good, you did your job, you informed the prospect about how you can help. It is their ultimate decision. And it may be that they need a little bit of time and to make some other arrangements. If you get another appointment, there's a really good chance you have a sale. So you got to ask for the order, get the commitment, figure out what's next, because after they get the deposit check, after you get it, or the purchase order, you don't have the sale, well, even the PO, until you have something in the bank. It's still up for grabs. Then you have to follow up, etc. You have to grow the account and all that good stuff. However, asking for the order and getting a firm commitment and determining next steps include things like, okay, thank you very much. Now, we did talk about delivery arrangements. I noticed when I came in that your loading dock has hours that trucks can back up and deliver. Are they always the same? If you have something that's going to be delivered, you better know when to tell your shipping department to ship the goods so it can be delivered when the client wants it, not when you want to deliver it. That's next steps. It's who do I really see for this PO or to get the deposit check? Who is going to be the person I deal with to ensure, because you have to do this, that you are satisfied with the product when it comes in the door, or that my consultants deliver when we're on site working with your people? Who's going to be the project lead? These are the next steps. Now, if they've given you the PO or the deposit, or maybe it's a handshake, I don't know, it depends on the organization, you're okay to ask all of these questions. They want to do business with you. You've done a great job. You must be sure that you follow up to make sure they stay satisfied. Remember what this is: grow your sales skills and grow your business. That's the title of this presentation. You have to get the sale, then you have to grow the account. That's called add-on business, incremental growth, organic growth, all kinds of terms. It's not a new account anymore when you get additional business. That is the easiest sale, the cheapest sale to get. It costs 1/10 what it costs to get a new client, to get add-on business from an existing client. So here's an overview. At the lead generation stage, all you have is a name and a title. You have less than 5% chance. You just have no idea whether you're going to close or not. The probabilities are almost zero. If you've done some qualification and you have found out that this particular prospect does have a need, and you believe that you have the product or service that can fill it, well, if you get in front of them, your chances are now 10 to 25% that you're going to get a sale. If based on a needs analysis. There is money, and you know the competition, and you know who the decision makers are, and you have all of that is put away. You're now enhanced up to almost 50% opportunity to close this business, to get the sale. I hate the term close. You're really opening. You're not closing in. You're opening the door to new opportunity for you and the client. I'm going to start using that. Thanks. If you get the agreement, or when you get the agreement, you submitted a proposal, you're going to get a decision quickly. I don't like this. If you've submitted a proposal and they're telling you 30 days and there's stuff to do, you need another appointment. But if you get that, remember, you get another appointment, your chances of getting the sale go up to 75%, as much as 75%. And when you get the sale, they said, yes, we're going to buy it from you. Remember, you don't have it yet. You don't have the deposit. You don't have the purchase order. You don't have the handshake. But there has been a declaration, yes, we're going to buy from you. It goes from 75 to 90. And when you get the sale, you have a signed contract, you're obviously at 100%. So this gives you a track to run on relative to your pipeline of moving the process, because this is a process sale, starting from your first phone call or your first lead qualification to getting the order. Here's an example of a pipeline and how that changes. Right in here, this probability changes. This company, you got the contact, you have the contact's title. Your estimate, based on what you know initially, is your sale is going to be $20,000. And your first call was made on July 23rd. And the last call was made on August 12th. And the sale ended up being $2,000. That's what happened in that 1 month, actually 3 weeks. That's what happens. It's critical to track how you're doing along the way. This next one's a little better. Sally was the contact. She's a VP of manufacturing. Apparently, she is a decision maker. Your best estimate after meeting with her the first time on the 12th of April was that you're going to get $35,000. Your last one was August 1st. Now we're talking 4 months. It increased instead of decreased to 40%. So it was a little less than half in value. Sometimes these go up, not down. They don't always go down. And if you think about it, you have to ask yourself, when would they go up? What would happen in the sales process that would cause the potential revenue to go up rather than down as you go through the process? You need to think about that. I'll give you one possible answer in a minute. So you can see, just looking at these, how these things vary. This one, 80%, it only dropped by $3,000. So that's pretty good, an 80% chance. And if you use a pipeline, first of all, you begin to see that your estimates, based on your knowledge and experience, are okay or not so okay, and you have to work on honing those skills. And what did you use as the probability? Lots of factors. And keep asking yourself these questions. They will help develop, as you get better, your belief in yourself and capabilities will go up. So here's an example of a simple paper and pencil. By the way, I love paper and pencil. I've been around for a long time. I use Google Calendar, and I also use a pencil planner because it doesn't need batteries and it doesn't need the internet, and it works every time. And when you write something down, it gets in your brain. When you type something, it doesn't get in your brain. So my pipeline system is a pencil and paper system. Nothing gets on it until you've made your first visit, either online or face-to-face. It's the first contact with the person you want to meet. That's the date, here's their name, and here's what they're interested in. And column C here, and by the way, you will have this to print out as well. column C is on your best guess based on that first meeting. Here's the value. You've done your work, you've made a proposal, and you've delivered it in your presentation. And now you, again, make another estimate based on the feedback. What's the value? And then you finally do get the PO or the deposit, and it is what it is. That could take, I have just 6 months here. Doesn't matter when it is, you change the months. From June to September, could take June to November, could take September to December or January. This is going to change every time you move down the line in the process. This is the time frame for the probabilities to change. Your meetings, and there's 3 listed here out of 5. There's 3 meetings listed right here. That's when they're going to change. Make sure you do this. Nothing gets on this piece of paper until you've met with the prospect. Otherwise, you're kidding yourself. It's hard, but it's rewarding. The reality is that they're in the B2B, that I have to be careful how to phrase this. With the exception of today's exorbitant CEO compensation, salespeople are the most consistent, high-earning group of people in business to business salespeople. Because we're talking about big numbers. We're not talking about just hundreds. We're talking about thousands, hundreds of thousands, and millions of dollars for a sale. And the commission rates, whether they're 0.5%, 1%, it depends on the industry, of course, and the product. A consistent seller is absolutely minimum in the 6-figure. That means over 100,000 a year. And many, many, many are in the 500,000 range. When I say many, many, that doesn't mean millions. It does mean out of all the B2B salespeople, a high percentage are doing very, very well. And keep in mind that 92% of all the products and services sold in this country, I can't speak for the world, 92% of all the products and services sold in this country are sold by 5% of the salespeople. So you need to get up there. That 5% is a big number. I don't know how many there really are, but it's a lot of salespeople who are doing very well, selling 92% of the sales of the products and services.
Richard, we have 3 questions.
Okay.
Want to take them, or did you want to?
Yeah, well, let's just knock this out.
Okay.
You have to sell yourself and the value you this is, you're going to read this. I don't want to read it to you. You need to be able to tell what you do. If you're networking in any way, 30 seconds, that's all you have. And immediately ask a question. How does that sound to you? Does that mean anything? Is there a way that that could be helpful? And if so, what is that, et cetera? You need a question. Prospecting, selling. Join organizations. And don't join organizations that have more of you. You're not going to sell to your peers. Put on workshops. Hire people. Do whatever you need to do. However, you need to be passionate about what you do, because it will show. Passion sells, enthusiasm sells, and being just moderately excited doesn't do a thing for a prospect. How come you're not jumping up and down? It's what's in their head. This is great stuff. If you don't show that, forget it. Okay, back to, now I'm ready for your question.
Okay, so the first one is, what advice would you give to someone who doesn't like selling per se?
You have a lot of per se to sell? Sorry, I couldn't resist that. You don't have to like it per se. You need to be wanting to do it, though. If it's your business, it's different than if you are a hired gun selling for someone else. When the owner, chief cook and bottle washer is the salesperson, it carries a lot of weight. And the sale process is somewhat different because the prospect looks at the owner differently than a salesperson for the owner. It's just the way people's psychology works. I can't give you an answer as to why for sure. I don't want to get into that kind of a discussion here. But if you don't like selling and you want to do what I just went through here, please do it. Because if you get yourself to do that, in spite of the fact that you don't like it, you will probably be successful. That's the advice. Next.
Excellent. The next question is, how can this apply to an online store model?
And online, it depends on what it is that's being sold online. However, if the online store is a retail store, Amazon is a retail store. And at one time it was very small compared to what it is today. You're putting your wares out there and you are not interacting. That's retail, and that's not what I'm talking about. If what you're saying is the person is going to make an initial contact through that store, and then they're going to need you or someone that works for you to go further in a one-on-one, then the same things apply, no different. If it's an e-commerce site, then it's an e-commerce site and you're not involved. You just need to set it up so that the story you're telling is told well on the site, and that's a particular skill. I'm not a social media guy. I have someone who built my most recent site called Execs Concierge, and it wasn't me who built it. So you got to know what your strengths are. Next.
Is there a point where you can mention a competitor or other successful prospects that you've provided services for and that they were happy with your products or services? What about testimonials?
Sure. Absolutely. You're establishing credibility in phase 1, developing rapport, establishing trust, creating an image of they have to buy from you. I'm the only place you can go. And testimonials, third-party letters, absolutely, I use them. Every B2B person, not every, many B2B salespeople use it on a regular basis. I have a list of people that, because I'm in consulting, I don't have a product that I'm selling. Prospects need to talk to CEOs who have been through the pain that I put them through and say, he's really tough, but it's worth it because on the other end. So I have a list of just 6 people who phone numbers and emails absolutely can be called. That's where it happens at the beginning. And you can reiterate in your presentation step part of your, whether it's on the screen or on paper, could be a page of referrals, third-party testimonials. Absolutely, they're invaluable, especially when you're starting it.
Awesome. And then we have, how do you decide a fair commission rate for sales?
That varies by industry and by each individual organization. And fair is always in the eye of the beholder. If whatever industry you're in, there is generally an industry standard. If commission sales, and by the way, personal opinion, if someone is a salesperson and they're not willing to work on straight commission, they are not a salesperson. They may be an account executive who can maintain business with a client, but a salesperson is willing to knock on doors and talk to people they've never spoken to before, and they will work on straight commission and they'll make enough money to buy the company. That's who they are. That's a salesperson. Just that's an aside. your industry will determine what it is, because if you bring someone on, you interview them, you say, here's the commission, they say, what, are you out of your mind? You'll know you don't have the right commission structure. There is no easy way to come up with compensation. It takes thought, but straight commission is the cleanest way. For sales, not account execs, that's different. We're not talking about that today. Ready?
Awesome. Okay, next one. How do you find salespeople in your industry?
It is very difficult. Most of the, I don't know if you're asked, when you say your industry, you're not asking me about mine.
No, I
Yes,
education.
Yeah, education industry. Is
Yeah,
that
that's the example.
finding salespeople is something like a scavenger hunt, or maybe more like a treasure hunt. You need to follow the clues. And it's really best to ask people if they can nominate, there's the word. And look at the difference here. Could they nominate someone that you could contact that they believe would be an asset to your organization in the sales side? Different than, who do you know who could be sales for me? It's a different attitude that is put out there. So I would say the way you find salespeople in any given industry is, first of all, you may steal from a competitor, and just by putting ads out on LinkedIn, or I don't know if they put them in newspapers anymore, and social media, anywhere in social media, or emails, or you get a list of salespeople or associations of salespeople, or you attend networking events. You can find them lots of ways, but the best way is to find the people who are willing to nominate someone, because for them to nominate means they thought about it. That's the power of that word. They will perhaps give you a name. And if you want a salesperson to be productive, they need to be someone that believes in what you're doing.
All right. And do you have a couple more slides that you want to get through? We've got
Nope, this is
7.
it.
That's the last one.
This is the end of the slides.
All right. So let me get to the rest of these questions.
Okay.
So we have one. Can this sales model work for nonprofits selling products or services online?
Well, that's the same answer as the other one. That's an e-commerce site, whether it's nonprofit or for-profit, is irrelevant, really. Depending on the product or service that the nonprofit is offering, they may have a better chance than a for-profit organization to sell the same product, because a cause is being served by someone buying from the nonprofit, if it's a charity kind of thing. If it's a nonprofit like a municipality, that's a different situation. But again, it's an e-commerce site. You're not dealing one-on-one with anyone. So it doesn't apply directly, no.
Okay. The next one is it okay to offer special pricing to get the business? How to manage other customers to not feel offended if they find out they didn't get the same price?
Yeah. The answer to the first part is yes. Special offers happen all the time, to entice a new prospect to become a new client. There are lots of things out there where that happens, and existing clients, particularly in the B2B arena, business to business arena, understand that is part of the way the game is played. Maybe they didn't get it because you weren't offering it at that time. You paid let's see, what did I just see recently? A special offer on a new credit card, 0 for the first year and then $99 a year after that. Well, the people who already have it, they paid $99 the first year. That's how it is. You know, timing is a lot to do with what your life is like. It's timing is important, but there's no problem with offering incentives to bring someone into your organization as a client, and your other clients will understand it. It's a one-time deal. That you have to be sure that that doesn't stay. You make it clear up front. First order, $50 a piece. Second order, $125, like everybody else, whatever the number is.
Awesome. The next one is, what do you think? And I believe that is our last, unless anybody has any more, you can put it in the Q&A box. What do you think about employing students to save costs while giving them valuable experience that enhances their business development skills?
Employ students to give them, it's like a co-op program. Drexel University in Philadelphia does that on a regular basis. I think Nova and FAU and FIU, I think they do it as well. I think employing in students is a great idea. It's a personal opinion. You have to be willing to invest into a student who maybe is 3 months, unless you're talking they're graduates and they're coming on board. But for instance, attorneys in their, that's usually 3 years for a law degree, I think. I'm not sure in Florida. They clerk. They can start clerking and working in law offices early. And then when they graduate, that law office hires them. They've learned how it works. There are advantages for everybody if you can arrange with a student body to give you employees or make them available to you, and you're willing to invest in them, then they'll invest with you their time and effort. That's another win-win deal. You have to set it up very carefully up front. No hidden agendas on either part.
Awesome. That seemed to be the end of the questions. Everybody else said thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
Guidance.
I'm going to stop sharing here. And you can have the screen back, or they can just look at us.
My glasses on. Hi. All right.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Richard, for this amazing presentation. I myself was taking down notes for how I want to grow my own business. So thank you again for taking time out of your Monday to help all of our participants in this business academy. For those of you who have sent me messages about when the presentation will get to you, when the recording will get to you, all of that will be sent to you. Well, the presentation will be sent to you by the end of this week. Please allow us up to 2 weeks to put our recording online. We will send you a separate email. All attendees and registrants will get a separate email with the recording. It'll be the website that it's going to be placed on, and you'll get a reminder for the May 17th closing out Biz Talks webinar, putting it all together at 6 p.m. May 17th. If you have any questions about your registration status, whether you've been counted or not because you logged in with a different email, just send us an email, economicdevelopment@fortlauderdale.gov. We'll provide Mr. Lewine's contact information at SCORE Broward. If you have any additional questions about SCORE Broward, we'll make sure his contact information is shared with everybody. So once again, thank you very much. Thank you, Crystal, for staying on. Thank you, Richard, for having us. Thank you, everybody, for being on. So see you next Monday.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.